news from your team. I know there was a renewal announced last week and then another announcement this morning with Moneyline. Just talk to us a little bit about that exciting news and what it means to your team.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Daytona 500 Media Day, off to a good start. Maybe 5 minutes late, but I appreciate you waiting. Technical difficulties. I was on time. Just want to make sure the rest of the team knows that. They're back there sweating bullets. But yeah, we're glad to get off on the right foot with respect to the sponsorship side. And Moneyline coming on board for Clash is great. They've been a great partner for us for 3 years and do a lot to activate with our fans, which is really cool. I think it's so important to have partners in our sport that aren't just on the side of the car, but actually have active programs and platforms to engage the fans. So it's good to see that with their Clash contest they got running, and hopefully we can make them proud with the first race of the season on the road course. That's going to be way different than anything we've done before, but that's okay. We're ready.
All right, so we're going to start with questions. We have a really solid number of hands raised, and we're just going to go from one question to the next, Brad. So thanks for joining us. If for some reason you lose connection or you can't hear us, just raise your hand and let us know. So we can make sure that we can get those answers back from you as clear as possible for the media. We're going to take our first question, and we are going to go to Mark Garrow with PRN. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you. Good morning, Brad.
Morning.
Is there a different level of determination every year you want to win the championship, but is there a different level of determination after you've come so close the year before?
Yeah, I don't know if difference is the right word. It's, confidence is certainly very high right now. I'm inspired, feel really good about the team I have, and their work ethic has been tremendous. But we're just hungry. I don't know if that's changed. The hunger hasn't changed. The confidence goes up and down, there's no doubt. And right now the confidence is pretty high. So ultimately it depends on the results we put up on the scoreboard, not our confidence. But we feel pretty good about it right now, Mark, for sure.
And my second question is about the 500 itself. What is your frustration level that you take a look at the number of wrecks in the plate races lately, and it used to be 50-50 whether you finished or you didn't, but now the odds aren't even in your favor that much?
Yeah, it's definitely changed. My frustration level is pretty extreme, to be quite honest with you. I feel like I've made some mistakes in that race, no doubt, but the last few years specifically, I feel like I've ran really, really strong races and just didn't have the ability to dictate my own fate. I think that's what you want. You want the ability to know that when you drive a race car, you're making a difference and that it matters. And that hasn't played out the last few years, which is frustrating. But I know eventually it will. And when that moment happens, we need to capitalize.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Jenna Frere. Go ahead, Jenna.
Hey, Brad. I got two questions for you, both completely different. The first is, you may have seen some promos. This season is being promoted as the best ever. Is there such a thing, and can that really be quantified, do you think?
I guess it could be quantified based on some kind of metric. I bet David Smith has some kind of metric for best season ever. But certainly at the end of the day, it's probably going to be a subjective question. There's a lot of buzz. I think I look at the schedule changes. Those are exciting. It's great to see that kind of effort being put in. With going to, I guess we got Austin, we've got Nashville, we've got Road America. Bristol. What else? So Bristol Dirt. Yeah, I can't remember, at least not a season that I've been a driver in Cup, this amount of changes ever happening before. And I think it's a nice little shot in the arm. Now, depending on who you are and where you sit, you might call that the best thing ever. You might call it the worst thing ever. I think most people would probably lean towards it being one of the best that could happen is to see the schedule finally have some significant movement. So I think that's pretty exciting. I know there's some other storylines that are playing out with car owners and things of that nature. And those are interesting and different and exciting as well. So as far as best season ever, I don't think I'm the right person to judge, but I don't know how you could argue that it's not mostly good stuff happening.
And then you go into this year in a contract year, same like last year. How do you approach it? What are you looking for? How do you want things to play out?
Well, I think there's been obviously a fair amount of not just talking the media side, but actual movement within the sport of, the car owners transitioning to younger and, quite frankly, less compensated drivers. And I think in some ways that's been really good for me. In some ways that's been really bad for me. It's obviously bad because it lowers the market, but it's also been good because, quite frankly, they're not winning. And if you want to win races, it's pretty clear that there's only about 6 drivers that can consistently win multiple races in Cup. And it's nice to be on that list. I think I've won multiple races the last 5 or 6 seasons. So I feel good about going out there and my ability to do that again in 2021. There's certainly a couple tracks that we have circled that I feel really, really good about. And then obviously a shot to run for the championship on top of that. So I think if I focus on performing the way the market is right now, and there only being a very select few amount of drivers that can consistently win multiple races, I feel like it'll take care of itself.
Thanks, Brad.
No problem. Thanks, Jenna.
We're going to take our next question from Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Brad, is the Busch Clash more a test session now for the race 2 weeks later than maybe in the past?
Well, the Busch Clash, or, it's been called about 10 different things over the years. The Clash in general has always been a bit of a test session. It was going to be less of a test session this year until it got moved as, the California race became the race that it replaced in the regular season in a couple weeks. But it's always been somewhat of a test. So now it kind of feels like it's normal in that regard.
Thank you.
No problem, Bob.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Lee Spencer. Go ahead, Lee.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us, Brad. I have a question as far as you talked about the field and how the market has changed. I mean, clearly the dynamic has changed with drivers getting paid less, but that being said, has it depleted the quality of the field at this point? And secondly, have you begun negotiations with Roger for beyond 2021?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt, Lee, that it's changed. The market has changed significantly, the driver market. You look at the last 4 or 5 years, look at the drivers that have retired. Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson now, Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth, Dale Earnhardt Jr. I know I'm missing somebody. But these are really good drivers. These drivers have a bunch of championships, Daytona 500s, marquee race wins. They're irreplaceable in a lot of ways. And then I think you look at the feeder series and the way they've kind of changed over the last few years. It's made it to where it's harder to come up through those series and get the experiences you need to be successful in Cup. All those things have culminated to a pretty stark market contrast now than what it was 5 years ago. And so, and like I said, in some ways that's good, Lee. In some ways that's bad for me personally. As for the sport overall, I'm not sure I have a right or wrong on that. But it's definitely a shift, and we'll see how that affects everything going forward. You guys will know just as much as I do, or probably even before, to be quite honest. But yeah, as far as my situation, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but certainly working with Team Penske on some of those things as we speak.
Appreciate your time, and thank you, Amanda.
Thanks, Lee.
Absolutely. We're going to take our next question from Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you. Brad, I'm curious about how you see strategy has played maybe more of a role in the Daytona 500 compared to years past. And I think back to last year's race, certainly the Toyotas leapfrogged the field with some of their strategy, and we hear about how tough track position is. Is strategy playing a greater role in the Daytona 500, and does that take a little bit away from the driver?
last part, no, I don't think it takes a lot away from the driver. It takes maybe, no, I don't think it does. I think the strategy side is really about scoring stage points. After you get through the stages, it's back to normalcy. I think it's good. It adds something compelling to the race in the first 500 miles and makes you race the whole race. And I think that ultimately is good for the fans.
Thank you.
No problem, Dustin.
Okay, next question will go to Claire B. Lang. Go ahead, Claire.
All right, unmuted. Thank you.
You're
Brad,
okay.
Thanks. An elementary question, but really when you think about other sports and whatnot, the Daytona 500 kicks off the season. It's a huge race. We know that. It makes careers. It's huge for momentum. But then it's not like every other race. How important is it, not only to win, but to show in the Daytona 500? How much is that sort of separate and let's get the season going? Can you put that all in perspective?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like having your final exam on the first day of school. It's a big moment for our sport. It's very much inverse to most other sports where the biggest game is at the end of the year rather than at the start of the year. But I think it's one of the things that makes our sport unique, Claire, is to have the biggest race at the start of the year, first race of the season. And I said it feels like the first day of school. Everybody's got all their best uniforms on. You dress your best the first day of school. Everybody's got everything's new, pit boxes, cars, and it just has that crisp feel to it. It's very unique race weekend as compared to any other weekend, and obviously very special with respect to the success you have in Daytona can carry with you forever.
And what about the rest of the season and how you're negotiating and stuff's going on, and it's the Daytona 500 that any team come out, and even if they don't win, they got to show, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, if you put up a great race in Daytona, it can make or break your year, and we certainly know that.
Thank you and good luck. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question will come from Kelly Crandall. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you. Hey, Brad, I have two quick ones. The first, going back to talking about Daytona and frustration. You've been at the front, you've been at the back, you've worked with your teammates. Have you thought all about maybe having to be a little bit more selfish? Do you have to change anything now going to Daytona to try to get that result?
No, I think I've been pretty selfish, Kelly. Just ask my wife. No, just kidding. But you have to be selfish on the plate tracks, no doubt. But I can't look back and say that I feel bad about any of the things that I've done over the last few years and would change it.
The second thing being, obviously race days have felt different for a while now, given the world that we live in. Have you thought at all about how different such a big race like Daytona will be with not having a packed infield and the fans dropping productions, not a full grandstands, just what the atmosphere might be like?
I haven't thought about it, but I know when they drop that green flag, I will. When you're on that intro stage and it's a little bit overwhelming in such a really cool way, and obviously it won't be that same experience, and I'm sure that'll hit me, but it's still the Daytona 500, still the same trophy. I think it's still the same check, and so after the race, it won't matter to me one bit.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Mike Solarte. Go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, man. Hey, Brad. Good to see you again.
Hey, Mike.
Welcome to 2021. Going back to Jenna's question about, the best ever, and I understand some of your thoughts on that. Do you think that all of this change and the addition of more road courses and the dirt track at Bristol and all those things, is that what NASCAR needs at this point? Or is it just time to really, throw everything into a bag, shake it up, and let's go forward with this?
Well, not all change is good change, but variety is the spice of life. And I think mixing up the tracks is more times than not good for our sport. Now, it was the change was more road course heavy. That'll probably be fun for a year or two, and then we'll all be sick and tired of road courses. That's usually how this works out. I like the commitment to variety. I'm not particularly beholden to any specific decision. But I think we'll do a few things here for a few years, and it'll be fun and exciting and new. and then we'll have to change it again. I think we've kind of seen this in the mid 2000s there, where it seemed like there was a new track every year, whether it be Chicago or Kansas, and I'm sure there was a few others that stand out. Late 90s, I guess it would have been Texas and so forth. Homestead joined somewhere in there as well. But I think that was fun for the sport. I think that was a good variety. And then it kind of locked in for a decade or so. And I think it kind of wore on all of us a little bit. So I just generally am in love with the idea of having a little bit of variety throughout the years to go to different tracks, and not necessarily abandon our base tracks, but mix up a few of the ones that we wouldn't consider to be our major events.
Thanks, Brad. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Greg Engel. Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, Brad. I'm doing something for Forbes, so I'm kind of switch away from the track and talk about Keselowski Advanced Manufacturing. How much time do you have to devote to KAM, and how tough is that when you have all your other NASCAR obligations? And I'll have a quick follow-up.
Well, it's funny. I had this discussion yesterday with Joey Logano. I was spending some time with him, getting ready for the season to start and going over some things. And that exact topic came up. And I told him, as I would tell you or anyone else, how I feel like it's made me a better person and a better racer. I come home from a race and I'm a really crappy loser. I hate losing. It makes me mad. I can't sleep. And, I come home with our late start races, and we get home around midnight or maybe even later, some races. And my facility is right next to the airport. I go right to it. And I walk the halls for an hour or two and just watch machines run. And it helps me wind down. It helps me have some perspective. And in that way, I actually feel like it's a huge advantage for me. It helps me compartmentalize a lot of different things. And I feel really, in some ways, privileged to have it. I think it actually made me more successful last year, especially in the midst of the pandemic, in terms of not overthinking things that happen on or off the racetrack. So I've really enjoyed it. It's been personally rewarding to me to see people grow and to understand some of the trials and tribulations that my boss faces at Team Penske every day with Roger Penske. So it's been a lot of fun. Of course, it's still a business. It can't be just fun. And that's okay too. But I've really enjoyed it. And, do I spend time? Yeah, absolutely. But I spend just enough time for it to be an advantage rather than a disadvantage. And I'm looking forward to see how that continues to play out for years to come as the business grows and the team I'm building here starts to continue to grow their autonomy to a level where they probably won't even need me pretty soon. But still, it's been a good ride as for now.
Being a business owner in normal times is tough, but despite the pandemic, KAM seems to be doing well by all accounts. Is there some magical formula, or what do you attribute it to?
Well, we have some pretty unique advantages, no doubt. The next gen car coming in has obviously made some significant changes to the labor market here in the greater Charlotte area, which has, changed the talent base pretty significantly and made the labor pool pretty strong. We've been able to take advantage of that, both in engineering and manufacturing. So that's been really key to us. There's probably still more areas to grow, but probably the market timing for the sector is really strong. I hit a very narrow window as well, with space really starting to scale right now, but not waiting too long with respect to, most of the major space companies have kind of picked their dance partners, and I feel like I got in right in time. So it's been really good.
Thanks, my friend. I appreciate it. Thanks for all you do for us veterans, and have fun this year.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Richard Thompson. Go ahead, Richard.
Hi, Brad. This is from the New England perspective. Could you just comment on the mutual successes you and Joey Logano have had over the past 8 seasons? And the second question is, New Hampshire one of those circle tracks you have, and talk about coming up here to defend your title?
Yeah, Joey and I have a lot of fun comparing our careers, believe it or not. He's got that Daytona 500 hanging over my head. We both got championships. But then I got 2 wins at his home track, and he's got 2 wins at my home track, or maybe 3 now. I can't remember. So, you know, we always joke that we wish we could trade. I'll run better at Michigan if he can run better at Loudon. That hasn't happened yet, but no, it's been a good ride. I consider him to be a good friend and a great racer, and I'm proud to know him and have played a part in his career. But he's got a long ways, a lot of runway left for his career, and he's done a heck of a job.
And just racing at New Hampshire and coming up and defending your title?
Yeah, it's been an awesome track for me. You know, we haven't been able to always deliver the results that I feel like are warranted, but last year was one where we were able to collect on it, and I feel like we'll have that same opportunity, maybe even more so this year. Been really happy with the cars we've been bringing to those types of tracks, and was able to get in a really good rhythm and, you know, in my eyes, kind of dominate that race. So I'm expecting the same with the technology freeze that NASCAR's implemented.
Great, Brad. Thank you very much. Good luck.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Dustin Albino. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, Brad, you mentioned a few minutes ago how you hate losing. So with the way Phoenix ended in November, how long did that take to get over?
Yeah, I would say I'm not over it, Dustin, you know, to be quite honest. You know, I don't like losing. I certainly don't like being that close. I take solace in feeling like I did everything I could do. Losing hurts way more when you feel like you left something on the table personally. I don't feel like I left anything on the table at Phoenix. And that helped me quite a bit, but still, obviously, I know that I was this close to realizing my dream of a second championship, but, you know, not close enough.
Thanks, Brad.
No problem.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Jacob Seelman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Thanks, Amanda. Brad, thank you for your time today. You talked earlier about the frustration, and we know you've been close in the 500. Is that kind of the last frontier for you in a way, that one big box in NASCAR that just hasn't, for whatever reason, been checked off for you yet?
It's definitely the one big box I don't have checked. I've got the championship. I've won every other major but Daytona. The only other person that can claim that actively right now is Kevin Harvick, and I want to join that club. That's a big club to be in, to have all the majors and to have a championship. So I know I'm right there, and I want to make it happen, and feel like I've done a lot of the right things to make it happen. Haven't been perfect, but it's certainly part of the source of frustration for sure.
Best of luck again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Alan Cavana. Go ahead, Alan.
Hey, Brad, you got me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, how you doing? Just looking forward to the season with all the road courses. Not that you're old, but do you have to, as an old dog, do you have to teach him new tricks in terms of really honing your skills on any road courses? And if so, what are you doing? What can you personally do in the off season and away from the racetrack?
Yeah, Alan, I think all of us are looking forward to the new challenge. Good thing is I've already been to Road America and Xfinity car. You know, that helps out a lot. Austin I hadn't been to, but I think half the Cup field was in Austin over the last 2 weeks testing. And, you know, so I joined them with the club cars, which is kind of interesting. We checked into the hotel, and about every other team was there. So all of us are putting in the effort, whether it be simulator or club racing, to get as good as we can get at it. And we'll have to see if it, at the end of the day, leaves a mark. But at the end of the day, that's what you do. You work. You go to work. You can't sit at home or rest on your laurels. And I'm confident that if I do that, we'll be okay.
What should we take away from that in terms of the effort teams are putting toward, you know, going in club cars and putting that much effort in the off season? I mean, it's just the increased importance of them, how every race matters, or what should we take away from that?
I think the big takeaway is that road courses are super important, more important than they've ever been in NASCAR. It's a paradigm shift for sure. You know, I'm not sure I necessarily agree or disagree with it. You know, back to my comments earlier about variety being the spice of life. I think this will be a lot of fun for a couple of years, and then we'll kind of get away from it. And that's okay. But for now, we're all kind of riding the wave, and we're going to enjoy it. And I'm going to try to do the best I can to be the winner.
Thank you very much.
No problem, Alan.
All right, Brad, we appreciate your time this morning. That is all the time we have with you. So thank you so much for joining us. And
Thanks, everyone.
we'll be joined by Ryan Blaney here in just a minute. Thanks, Brad.
Take care. Appreciate you.